Simulation drama! Seriously, can this community just go a month without some form of earth-shattering, the sky is falling, demons are arising kind of drama? Can we not? Anyway, hi, my name's Everwing24, and welcome to the latest earth-shattering, world-ending episode of The Three Grumpy Simmers. With me, your host, Everwing24, and joined once again by my fellow grumpy members of the demon-slaying community, or maybe just demon uncovering, I'm not sure. So let's start with Sergio from helisimmer.com, the arch don of the helicopter mafia.
Can you please warn us the next time we do something like this? Because I almost had a heart attack.
I need your reaction to be just as powerful as our beloved audience in invoking fear.
I'm invoking 911.
Wait, that's not going to work for you. It needs to be 112.
Yeah, I just had to say something people would understand, because except if you are in Europe, you get it. Most of the guys watching this probably in America, so yeah, it's 112 over here, guys. Hey everyone, I tried to just tone it down because Tristan did all the drama already. Just spoil it for the rest of us.
We haven't even started with the drama yet. We haven't even started.
Yeah, right?
That is what I am afraid of.
Because my next intro for my the final member of our Three Grumpy Simmers triumvirate is, of course, the expert in the title that we are going to be we're going to be investigating the rumors of the end times. And of course, I'm referring to Drew Belgio.
Wait, expert on what? I was going to say, I've always been a death metal fan, so if you're talking demonology, yeah, I can throw some Pazuzu and some wow out there. But other than that, I don't know what exactly I'm supposed to be the expert of.
Well,
Tom Cattery?
Tom Cattery? Tom Cattery shenanigans?
Shenanigans, yeah, I'm good with that.
Something. How many hours have you spent in the DCS World Mission Editor?
Yeah, I'm going to need an accountant to count that out.
So, of course, here it comes. Here it comes. Okay, so, yes. Basically, yeah, because you have that many hours in the... That's right, Sergio's right. Because what is it? Once you hit over like 100 hours or something, you become... Or 100 or 1,000 hours in something, you become an expert? Like, isn't that how it works?
Once you get over 1,000 hours in something like the mission editor, you become the guy that people ask on Facebook, hey, how do I do this in mission editor?
Drew no longer sees the maps, no longer sees the units. He just sees ones and zeros, flashing green, down and up,
It's a total Matrix moment now. It's a total Matrix moment.
Did you take the red pill or the blue pill?
I took the purple pill. What are you talking about?
He joined both blue and red. It became the purple pill.
Anyway,
this is to say that he doesn't distinguish reality from what's not reality. That's a way of saying it.
VR does that to everybody. Anyway, so needless to say, folks, the latest episode in the Flight Simulation World Drama, of course, comes to us courtesy of the world of DCS, which, to be fair, they managed to go, 2 months without some form of security leak being leaked on one of their forums?
I want to say 2 weeks. It would be appropriate, but I don't know.
I think it was it War Thunder or IL2? One of the two of them, like, you can't even post anything anymore on Facebook without Facebook clamping down on it.
Yep. Because War Thunder's been, to be fair to Eagle Dynamics, War Thunder's got a far worse reputation for security leaks than they do. But anyway, but to be fair, I don't think any members of a War Thunder development team ended up getting themselves arrested. So there's that. Anyway, so speaking of drama, so drama llama surrounding DCS and Eagle Dynamics at the moment comes to us courtesy of a developer that I once regarded very fondly because they made an aeroplane that most people probably care absolutely nothing for, but it was one of the last aircraft they made for the ESP sims. And of course, I'm talking about RAZBAM. And RAZBAM have reopened I don't know, would you say it's an old wound in the DCS community?
Kind of, sort of. Very similar wound, shall we say?
Okay. So we have an injury to the corporeal mass that is DCS that seems to be startlingly familiar to a drama that we saw a few years ago now with another developer by the name of VAO Simulations. As my two demon cats run
I think
through
they're
the background.
still stuck on last episode with the crew. They're all racing around back there.
They absolutely formed their own crew here. They've all got their own posse. So, so RAZBAM have come out and made a big how do you do about them stopping development for sorry, not stopping development. What was it? The phrase suspending. Sorry, yes. Suspending development and work in DCS world on their modules. And their modules are not insignificant. They've got if I remember correctly, is the Mud Hen, the Strike Eagle is theirs. Mm-hmm. And I want to say
RAZBAM has done first the Mirage, the 2000 F2000 Mirage.
Yep. Which is not actually a Mirage because of copyright.
Yeah. They've done the Harrier, the Aviate-B Harrier, which honestly is my personal favorite from them. It's one of my most often flown birds. In the top three, I would say Tomcat, Harrier, and Hornet, in that order. And then, of course, the South Atlantic map, the Falklands, Argentina, that's RAZBAM as well. And finally, the Mud Hen, the F-15E, aka the Strike Eagle, that is also RAZBAM. I have all of those products of the lot. I think the Mirage probably gets flown the least, but the Strike Eagle, I'm still trying to come to terms with it, which is why we haven't seen it on YouTube as of yet. But yeah, that's their product lineup as it stands now.
They're not a small developer. They're not like a developer like VAO who only had one module released and had another one in development. I mean, this is
and they're not fly-by-night either, because I mean, this is RAZBAM. Anybody who's done FSX and done military aircraft from way back when remembers RAZBAM. They did the Harrier back then, the A6 Intruder, and how many others?
They also had a whole heap that they didn't end up releasing and updating as they bailed out of the ESP sims, which is my problem with them.
That is true too.
And they also have contracts with customers outside of DCS. I would want to say it's a military customer, something like that. So they are in the professional market as well.
Yeah. So yeah, we're not talking about a small developer here. We're talking about somebody who's got a varied reputation, but definitely an established one. So they've come out and they've said that they are suspending all development in DCS. And basically, and I'll put the exact wording down below here, but basically saying that we haven't been paid. And we're kind of done with working for free, which I completely don't blame them for. But as I said, it kind of exposes some. As I say, it's a similar thing that we heard from VAO back in the day, and it is something that has come up on a not infrequent basis when development teams are looking at joining the DCS world development community, about the conversation about the business model and the contract model that DCS World have, that Eagle Dynamics has in relation to DCS World. So it's one of those things where it raises some questions about their business model. And you know, in our previous episode of the Three Grumpy Simmers, we talked about things like, you know, online only access, and, you know, what does the future hold, and you know, for games if we don't get resolutions to who actually owns stuff. It sort of makes me wonder. Well, and gentlemen, I'm going to defer to your expertise here because you fly DCS far more than I do. But it makes me, as a very lay person when it comes to DCS, of their business model seems to be concerning, because obviously I do the Nova App video, I do it every week. I see all the stuff that comes out, and it's like, you know how you see those ads on television and on the internet that, you know, on sale now and sale today, buy now, and, you know, everything must go 50% off, and yet the same store that's apparently closing down is still selling stuff 2 years later at the same discount.
Oh, you know what? I forgot a bird. I'm looking at my phone here, and I just remembered I totally forgot a bird that I have, and I think I've flown like maybe twice. Probably can't see that, but that is the MiG-19P Farmer. That's also a RAZBAM thing. So that's what, 5 birds now? Hold on, I lost count. Somebody do the math out there, please. But yeah.
So
to my point, not an insignificant company.
Yeah, not an insignificant company. So this is a developer that has got a wide range of products that have consistent sales, but we're looking at everything is in perennial state of early access. The whether it be the sim, basically nobody actually uses stable. And I don't think I've actually met a single DCS pilot that actually flies on stable. Everybody flies it. Everybody flies on.
Well, you know what they did too recently? They unified everything. So whether you have stable or whether you have open beta, it's all the same thing right now. So I actually had both copies.
They literally gave up on their own stable build.
Yeah, I had both copies installed. I uninstalled stable because, you know, I'm in open beta. That's where all of my missions are. That's where all my liveries are, so on and so forth. All the missions that I've come up with for YouTube videos in the past, which, yes, I know I'm woefully behind. All of that is on open beta. So I just nixed stable entirely. Nobody really uses it anymore.
Right. And every module ever is, and we've talked about this as the Three Grumpy Simmers. We've talked about the early access myth. But every single module of DCS comes out in early access and seems to stay in early access for years.
In some cases, yeah. Honestly, ironically, the only thing that I think actually came out as not in early access was the aircraft that I just said about, the MiG-19. I think that one actually came out fully finished.
My God,
I haven't seen any updates on that.
That's one DCS module out of what, 40?
Way more than that.
We're going to have the second, because Polychop is not doing any pre-sales. They are not releasing the Kiowa in the early access.
They're releasing
it. They always said, and they are going to fulfill what they said. The OH58 Kiowa for DCS will come up as version 1.0 without any pre-sales, without any pre-orders. So that's going to be the second one to be released.
Right. So
that's probably a smart move on their part, considering how long we've been waiting for it. And yes, I know they've gone through some pretty serious issues.
It was
through its development lifetime. But yeah, that is really a smart move for them that I think that ED and other third-party companies or whatever might want to take note of.
But this is this is the question then. Okay, so we've got one release module and one pending release module that will release not in early access. But every other module that I can think of has come out in early access. Some of them have spent 2+ years in early access, and the final release version doesn't seem to be that different from the first one that was early access. So my concern and my question is that, and again, this is coming from somebody who flies DCS very minimally. As I said, confession, I uninstalled it because of how little I fly it. Table flip.
There's that table flip.
But But I'm looking at the modules and I'm going, do I really want to get invested in something that's early access that's not by their own standards feature complete? And then half the stuff that leaves early access isn't feature complete anyway. It still has a bunch of stuff that they said was coming that's not there.
Well, the UE is cool. You can fly the UE.
That's pretty feature complete, really.
Yeah, and it even has multi-crew. We have
is that still in early access?
No.
No,
okay,
it's
so
not.
that's it. Okay,
No.
but
it has multi-crew and it's a lot of fun. We did a session with 4 guys in the helicopter and it was a blast.
So, but my question is though, as a given RAZBAM's seeding of the current drama, coupled with this perennial state of early access releases and pushing content out in early access and having it sit languishing in early access hell for extended periods of time, coupled with a number of developers that I personally know that looked at joining DCS and looked at the contract that Eagle Dynamics handed them and said, hey, all your bases belong to us. Is the community right to be concerned that this is not, is this an endemic problem that could cause the demise of DCS World? Like at the end of the day, DCS World is low-mac.
Yeah, well, I can probably I know Drew has his thoughts as well, but I can pitch in especially because there are 2 things here. We're talking about 2 different things. One of the things is the drama with RAZBAM and their decision to suspend development. And we are not pretending that we know everything. We only know what RAZBAM said. Eagle Dynamics was pretty silent towards saying something about what was happening. But the thing is, just like with VAO, there's some sort of friction between developers and Eagle Dynamics. And up to a point where, like you said, Tristan, I also know of some folks that were interested in developing for DCS and decided to pull the plug and not even get their feet wet and not start doing it. Back when the VAO thing happened, I wrote an article about it that you can find on helmsimmer.com. And some folks accused me of trying to attack Eagle Dynamics, and I was not attacking Eagle Dynamics. I was expressing exactly what you're saying. I was expressing my concerns towards the future of the sim because I love DCS. It's a great sim. It's a wonderful sim. It has a huge community, lots of great people that I love talking to, and I love the guys. The things that obviously I'm interested in is helicopters, and it has amazing helicopters with great flight dynamics. So it's a sim that I really enjoy, and I don't want to see that sim going away. Again, going back to the conversation we had on the previous episode, I don't want Eagle Dynamics to pull the plug and all of a sudden we have no more game to play, no more sim to use, right? So there was a concern back when I wrote the article, and I'm pretty sure that article made a lot of people angry inside Eagle Dynamics. I know for sure that it did. But I express a concern, and I think you are right, Tristan, when you say that we as simmers should be concerned. And when both the VAO issue arose and the RAZBAM issue arose, I saw a lot of people in denial. People wanting to just blame the developers, blame RAZBAM, blame VAO for what happens, and ignoring and choosing to ignore. They were not just, they chose to ignore the red flags, right? Because there is no doubt in my mind that there are issues. There are always issues between companies, between partners, but I think there are some deep and serious issues with the relationship between the developers and Eagle Dynamics, to a point where the developer ecosystem is very, very small.
Mm.
Just look in. I know we're talking about different levels of development. DCS has a much higher difficult tier when comparing with X-Plane or Microsoft Flight Simulator, for example. And there are a few reasons for that. One of them is the fact that DCS does not have a flight dynamic engine. DCS offers 6 degrees of motion, so you can put something in the world and make it move, but all the codes to make all the calculations for the aircraft you're developing, it's your own.
Yep.
Systems need to be your own. You want to fire a missile, you need to do the flight dynamics for that missile as well, right? So there is a lot of work that you need to do to develop something for DCS, and that alone restricts the amount of teams that are able to work with the sim.
The sheer cost of developing that amount of code is insane.
It's huge.
Like, because you know, and speaking as a dev and worked on multiple projects in Microsoft Flight Simulator and in Prepared and in FSX, like there is a very well documented SDK, and you're working within the confines of a set of simulation variables that control basically you're essentially all you're doing is you're taking a bunch of world variables and just tweaking them to align with what you're trying to do. Whereas my understanding, Sergio, was very similar to what you just described, is that basically DCS is basically a blank slate. It's like here is a world, but if you want to where you can move an object, but if you want to tell that object how it needs to move, then you've got to come up with every variable that does that. You've got to come up with all the performance tables. You've got to come up with, you know, all the coefficients yourself. There's no templates to use. There's no set aerodynamic ones. There's no set anything. There's no set anything that you can engage with from the sim level. That's my understanding, and that sounds to be very similar to what you've just described there, Sergio. So the cost to get in to the system straight away from that kind of thing means it's going to be exponentially high, which on one level goes to potentially in a part way just changing his headwear halfway through. Right, okay, battery died. So yeah, which goes to in a part way goes to partly explaining why people would look at doing early access, because they need funds. And again, we talked about this in the myth of early access. Developers need funds to help finish the development. But then it sort of then goes, well, what does ED actually do? Sorry, Sergio, we've got
now we can't hear him.
Now we can't hear you, Sergio.
Oh, sorry.
See, folks, it's 2024. It's 2024. Yeah. We've had how many years of like Zoom meetings and working from home and all the rest of it. And anyway,
in my defense, it's 2 a.m. over here. So
the answer is really simple. The 3 Grumpy Simmers is still in early access.
Yeah.
Literally early access in Europe.
Well, it's very early access. It's 2 a.m. early access over here. So yeah, bear with me. Yeah, well, you were asking about what ED does. Well, ED does provide some support to the team, marketing, all that stuff. I'm not, you know, we shouldn't.
Plus, it's their ecosystem that you've got to fit your products into.
Yeah, I'm not going to devalue what they do and what they bring to the table. You know, if they didn't bring anything of value, developers wouldn't develop for the sim. But like you said, it's a lot of money. And I know of a developer that told me that they were spending 3 digits on the development of a single module, and it wasn't a very complex module, right? It was one of the less complex ones, and they spend a lot of money. So yeah, I think, you know, just to wrap up what you were or answering to your question, I do believe the community needs to be worried, not only because of these frictions between companies, which, you know, it's not a good sign, but also something that you touched and that you asked, and which is also for me very, very weird, which is the business model. the fact that everything is in constant early access, and the fact that we see constant releases of products that keep on early access. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I know anything about how Eagle Dynamics works. I can be completely wrong. The only thing I can do is speculate.
Yep.
But in my mind, it seems like all these releases are made so that Eagle Dynamics has some cash flow, some money coming in to pay for the obvious structure, IT, people working, etc., etc., etc. Right? That's the perspective that I had. I can be completely wrong. I don't know what's the financial situation of the company.
That's my big question right there. I mean, if we're hearing third-party developers talking about, hey, I ain't getting paid, and we know that third-party developers oftentimes do get, a pretty sizable chunk of the money, where's the money?
Or what's the justification for not paying them? I mean, and again, and this is folks, this is 100% all speculation, and it's simply being asked because it's the uncomfortable question of what does the future look like? Are we still going to have DCS World in a year, 2 years time? I mean, we probably will, but it's
more
the question
likely,
of
what.
But it's the question of what's happening, and and we I'm definitely always a supporter of buy from the in-sim store, because and we said this when Microsoft Flight Simulator first launched and first said that we're going to have an in-sim store. We said, hey, buy your stuff from third-party stores, but also make sure you buy something on a semi-regular basis from the in-sim store. Because Microsoft need the bean counters back at Microsoft. It doesn't matter how much Jorg and the team at Asobo believe in the product and want to keep their promises to Microsoft the Flight Simulator community. If the bean counters back in Seattle don't see a green line on the balance sheet, they're going to shut us down. And so, I'm a big supporter of, make sure, buy modules, don't pirate, all that kind of stuff. Buy from the DCS World store. And so I think all of my purchases bar one were made at the DCS store. I think my first module was bought from Steam before DCS World was actually even a thing, when it was just the A10, just when the A10 was a standalone module. So, like, it's more the whole asking the question of the uncomfortable question of, okay, if this was a one-off, okay, sure, fine, whatever. It's, as Sergio, as you said, there's always going to be friction between developers. There's friction inside of your own team. I mean, anybody who's ever worked anything remotely corporate or facing the public or working in a team environment knows there is always friction of some kind. But it's the putting multiple things together that it's like, okay, hang on a minute, what's going on? Should I be worried? And for me, it's the deafening silence from ED. Or if they do say something, it's always like more of, oh, well, we don't talk about helisimmer.com anymore because they obviously hate us because they attacked us. It's like, did they? Or did they just ask a question that you didn't like being asked?
Yeah, and that's the thing. People watching this show and listening to what we're saying, we're not analysts. We're not paid to do thorough analysis and and try to pick things up apart. I'm asking these questions just like I did when I wrote that article as a consumer, as a simmer, right? This is my perspective, and more than I have to disagree a bit with you on something interesting, which is it doesn't worry me the silence from ED, because I am not concerned about what they are saying. I'm much more concerned about what they are doing.
Yep.
Those are the telltale signs, right? Those are the signs that indicate me as a consumer, as a developer, not as a guy that writes articles, not as a guy that is discussing things with his two friends, because this is what happens here, guys. We are three friends talking about simulation.
The three grumpy old men.
Exactly.
Who happen to be also
But
be
that's
friends.
what happened here. Those, I see those actions, and as a consumer, as someone that loves DCS, that loves sims in general, but DCS in particular, I'm concerned because I want DCS to have a long and prosperous life. I want Eagle Dynamics to make a lot of money so that they continue to pay the people that work for the company, so that they continue to pay to developers, so they can bring more developers in. And I wish they could come up with a system in which they could onboard more developers and help them a lot more, so that we could have more modules out there. I don't want it to fail. And a lot of people ask me exactly, what I had against ED and DCS when I wrote that article, and they just got it all wrong.
Yep.
They got it all wrong. It's not like, I'm not saying DCS is bad and it should go away. I'm saying exactly the opposite. I am worried about the future of a flight sim that I love, and that I know that a lot of people out there love, and we want to see continue to grow and expand and be a great sim.
Now, how do they grow? How do they expand? And what actions have they done? Well, let's analyze that for a second. Oh, we're not analysts.
Wait, hang on. Is that an analyst feather you're putting in the purple cap there?
Hold on. Yeah, right there. So what have we seen so far? Aside from the obvious drama with RAZBAM going on in the background somewhere that honestly I haven't paid a whole hell of a lot of attention to, because I'm like, it doesn't concern me. Can I still fly my Harrier? Can I still fly my Mud Hen? Can I still fly both of them on South Atlantic map? Yes. Right now? Okay. Then I'll live without whatever else it was that you were planning on putting in the beta at some point in time. For right now, because it works the way I'd like it to work. Well, what are the other actions that we've seen from ED? Well, there was the Afghanistan thing, or as some have taken to calling it Half-Ghanistan.
Is it Half-Ghanistan or Thirdistan?
It's technically Thirdistan, but we don't want to,
Tristan. It's a joke.
We don't want to throw it out of context here. So okay, yeah, the Afghanistan map's coming out, right? You can buy the whole map. There's a price for the whole map. If you decide you only want to have 1/3 of the map, or maybe the second third or the third, you can choose to buy it in smaller chunks. If that's the only area that you're really going to fly in, you've got 1/3 of the map that you use. But here's the thing. Yeah, I realize ED needs to make money. Wonderful. We all need to make money. We got to pay our light bill somehow. But it's a map where, when it's released, it's only going to have the first portion of it anyway. So what happens if you're buying the second or the third portion of it that aren't even ready? You've got to wait another 6 to 12 months before you get that portion of the map. And if you do buy the entire map, from what I'm understanding here, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on this, you're getting a piece of the map when it comes out first, and then months later you're getting the rest of the map that you already purchased. That's, in my opinion, that's a little bit worse than early access, because at least...
Well, actually, I'm actually going to disagree with you on that one, because all ED's doing is ED's actually using a tried and true business model. And ironically, that actually almost reassures me about their business model, because that is literally the business model that EA use, Blizzard uses, Paradox uses for... they just call it season pass.
Okay.
But
or DLC, I guess.
But that's literally it. So what you've just
described.
You
got your baseline WoW, and then, hey, here's another little world that we're going to add on to it.
SnowRunners. SnowRunners, I think. Or Mudrunners. Truck game, driving game. They do a season pass. A season pass includes so every I think it's 6 months or a year they come out with a season pass. So each year they bring out, I think it's 4 trucks, 4 or 5 trucks. Okay, you can buy each truck individually when it becomes available at some point during the year, and it'll cost you $20 a truck, or you can get all 5 of them for $80. So but you have to pay up front at the start.
So you pay up front, and then eventually you get
As
the
they
delivery.
release, you get them. And
Okay, put in that context.
Ubisoft,
it's definitely
Ubisoft with that Star Wars game, the Outlaws.
Oh, don't even get me started on that one. That's a whole different ballgame.
But that is exactly what they're doing though. That ultimate, ultra, super, uber duper deluxe version that they're advertising, which is 3 times the price of
missions,
which is the 3 times of the base game. Those extra story missions, they're not available at launch. That's in the first year, I think they give themselves. I think it's 1 or 2. I think it's at least the first year, maybe even 2 years.
I didn't pre-order that one. I pre-ordered like the one just below that. That gets the 3 days early access because I'm a Star Wars nut, so naturally I'm a sucker for that stuff.
So
I'm also that same guy that pre-orders Afghanistan, the full Afghanistan, we're gonna call it, and pre-orders the Chinook, the CH-47. Because I mean, come on. I just got one from Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's like the Tomcat of helicopters for me.
I felt
got to have one for every sim.
I felt so awkward on stream because I was streaming it. I was saying, chat was asking me if I got the CH-47 yet. It's like, no, I really want to get it. I really want to get it because I really want to fly it, but just haven't a chance to fly it yet. And then somebody in the community, in the group flight, because we were flying helicopters, jumps in it. And I'm like, oh, I see a CH-47. Wait, I have it? Go back through my history. Went, oh shit, yeah, I did buy it. Anyway, so that's interesting actually that you bring that up, Drew, because that's both, on one level exceedingly frustrating because you're right, going back to the point of, are we getting money up front to hopefully pay, and being concerned about the business model. But ironically, that both reassures me and does not about their business model because
something's obviously working right because they're making money from people like me and how many countless others out there that are, paying their paychecks.
But
I hope they are, and I really hope they are.
Yeah.
But it's not very clear what they're doing. That's the thing. Because here's the thing, I understand what you're saying with the season pass, Tristan, but we're talking about the season pass, which is purchasing things that will be final when they are released.
Yep.
And you know what is going to be released and when is it that is going to be released and is going to be the final thing. So if you have 4 trucks, you know when the 4 trucks will be released.
Yep.
And when you get the trucks, you get the trucks. But it's not exactly what's happening here with the map, right? It's not you at least I haven't seen any dates for the release of the 3 chunks of the map.
And I think they said 6 months and 6 months after the initial release, but I'd have to recheck it.
I didn't see anything in regards with that. So honestly, I didn't look for it. That's why I didn't see. So it could be. But is it the final map or is it an early access?
Or is it an early
version
access
of the map as well?
That's a good point.
That's my doubt. If they have a roadmap and they said that they're going to release a chunk every 6 months, okay, that kind of puts me at ease. But still, I don't know. I still have mixed feelings about the fact that pretty much everything inside the DCS ecosystem is early access. But perhaps it's just me
it's just such a closed ecosystem, and that's what's
probably always me.
Yeah. It's what
really worries me.
Fundamentally, as somebody who's an external, who's a creator, and I love to. I end up spending more time creating than I actually spend enjoying the sim. All of my sims sims and games that I enjoy, I end up creating content for them more than playing them because I love it. I have done a grand total of really. I have done a grand total of 1 livery for DCS. One single livery I have done for DCS. And I have flat out said I am never doing another one again. Until they make the SDK at least partially open or give me a way that I can bring the model into a format that I can paint with. Because I am done trying to spend, I literally spent, it was a commission piece So technically, yes, I got paid for it. I got paid $20 for it. I think it's $20 or $30 I got paid for it. It took me more time, or almost as much time as it took me to do an actual third-party developer's aircraft for. I didn't, charge this person the kind of rates for a corporate client, but it's a case of I had to spend that time because literally I had to go through, because of the way it had been unwrapped, like a single bolt, it was for the T45, I think, a single bolt was,
ironically, the T45.
Yeah, ironically, the T45. Like a single bolt from the
That's
tail
a
hook. Yep. That was on the tail hook assembly was like one bolt on one side was on one texture sheet, but the other bolt on the other side was on another texture sheet. But instead of being like grouped somewhere logical, it was like scattered like inside the engine part or something. It was ridiculous. And because it's so small, the only way you can do it was like you had to reload it into the model viewer. I have to go in, edit the texture, save the texture, export it out, reload the model in the model viewer, or reload the texture files in the model viewer, then reload the model in the model viewer, and then see it and go, yeah, still can't see it. So now I've got to find it again. It's like, no, I'm done. So it's like we are not saying that we want ED to fail. Absolutely far from it. We want ED to be more open, more transparent. Just
more transparent. And we've been arguing that same argument for how many years now? That's just the saddest part about this. This is not anything new. There's people who out there on social media have made their lives digging into ED. Some of you out there might know who I'm talking about in particular. But at the end of the day, even though the way, the method of speaking or the method of making his points heard, it leaves a little bit to be desired. At the end of the day, he does kind of have some good points on that. And it really does come down to that whole transparency that we've been asking for from ED for how many years?
Yep. So, and this is why myself, as very much a lay person when it comes to the world of DCS world, like you said, I think it's a great sim. Like I don't spend a lot of time in it, but the time I do spend in it, I think it is a great sim. The fact that I only launch it once every 3 months means that I usually have a giant update that needs to be done before I can do anything, which means that I don't end up flying it. But I want them to succeed because, again, we've talked about this before. The more options that we have as a flight simulation community, the better everybody's experience is.
Yeah.
So,
and you said something that is really interesting because it's something that counterbalances what I have been saying or what we have been saying, which makes everything, even in my perspective, even more interesting and puzzling. You just said it. You open up DCS and you have a huge update, and you have to wait for the update to finish. And that is a very strong sign of a healthy development cycle of a product. You have constant updates on the product, so that means that teams are working, the product is evolving, etc., etc. But at the same time, you have this other side, which we already talked about during this video. That it's very
secret
opaque.
squirrel.
It's very dark. It's very weird. It's very it's disconcerting for me. I just feel very weird, very, very weird, and concerned. I am really generally concerned about the health of the sim on the long run. I agree with Drew when he said that in 1 or 2 years the sim is going to be here. I'm not expecting DCS to go away anytime soon. But how healthy will the ecosystem be? How healthy will the actual sim be in 1 or 2 years?
And that's my worry, and
yeah.
All I'm saying is we need to sit the two kids down. ED, you sit there. RAZBAM, you sit there. Okay, now talk. Talk. Sort out your problem.
Nobody
Sort
leaves.
out your problem.
Nobody leaves until you make up.
Nobody leaves their room until y'all kiss and make up. Because I want my Harrier
to keep being updated.
And my mud hen.
I'm not going to make a comment about. As I said, I have mixed feelings about RAZBAM because I know they do great work, but also how they exited the ESP community was not great.
I'll agree with you on that, and I will 100% agree with, because you know what? I was an A6 user. I was a Harrier user back in the FSX days, and yeah, I've forgotten most of it, but a little part of it does still sting. But I will say in their defense, they were more than able to make up for it when that Harrier came out. There's a reason why that one is like my second most flown bird in DCS. It is really that good.
And so yeah, I just really wanted to round this out by saying to everybody watching, look, we are not saying DCS is evil, DCS is bad. You know, we're not saying that, or DCS should die. It's like, no, we want DCS to succeed. It's just that much like Microsoft learnt the hard way, you have to be transparent with your community to get them to trust you again. You know, when it comes to DCS World, for me as a lay user, I'm now on my second reasonably what looks like a good quality developer that's now become very negative about the host platform. That's just what's public, as well as other developers that I've spoken to, and Sergio, you mentioned as well, that have gone, yeah, we wanted to develop for DCS World, we went, you know what, no, after dealing with ED, no thank you. When you hear those things in the community, you start to worry, and because I want this to succeed, and we want ED to succeed. We want DCS World to succeed, because the more high quality sims that are out there, the better it is for everybody. Even if you are not a DCS World pilot and have no intention to be one, you will benefit from advances in DCS in your chosen sim because of competition. So we are not trying to say that DCS is bad. We're not trying to say Eagle Dynamics is bad. We are not saying that RAZBAM is bad, because quite frankly, Sergio, you pointed out very clearly, we don't know what happened. There's a lot of innuendo. There's a lot of
squirrels.
Okay. I don't think
You're back.
I'm back. Okay.
You're back. At least on my end. I don't know if the recording was...
everything was okay on my end.
Sorry, no,
okay.
It was maybe it was ED tapping the stream. So
they're coming to take my Tomcat calendar.
So yeah, we don't want them to fail. We want them to succeed. And Microsoft learned the hard way. You know, you have to listen to community in order to get them to trust you. And after seeing these issues come through here, you know, I'm just concerned. You know, I want ED to succeed. So we don't know who's in the right. We don't know who's in the wrong. We don't even know what happened. And to your point, Drew, how you actively have avoided this as much as possible. In many ways, that's the right way to do it. But the counter side of it is that, unfortunately, in situations like this, often the only way to resolve it is that you have to get an external force to act upon it. And he who controls the public flow of information generally wins that battle. So
I've always been told there's 3 sides to every story. There's side A, side B, and the truth is somewhere in the middle. The truth.
Yeah. Absolutely 100%
I don't
agree.
know what that is, and I don't have the time to really delve into it. All I'm saying is sort your shit out.
Yep.
Bottom line. I'm the end consumer. I'm giving all of y'all money. Sort your shit out. Keep it coming.
Keep the good shit coming and deal with your other stuff. And that's really what we wanted to ask. We wanted to ask that uncomfortable question of going, what's going on? Is there going to be a statement? And should the community be worried? I don't know. Bill, do you
go? I also don't know, but I am concerned again because there are some red flags that I wish were, went away and everything went back to normal. and we could be 100% sure that everything is okay. I'm not saying, I'm not trying to foresee the bad things coming and the clouds and the thunder and whatnot. I'm not trying to put a black cloud on top of this, but as a consumer,
some of the demons.
Oh yeah, that too. But personally, as a consumer, I am concerned. I have to be concerned because again, I don't want DCS to go away. I want this sim to grow. So, should the community be worried? I don't know. I am worried. Personally, I am. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to start campaigning against ED or DCS. Quite the opposite. I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that, like Drew, they just sit at a table, get this shit, all solved, all behind us, and keep the good products coming.
Yep.
If it's money you want, hey, you got the money. I just sent your money. I literally just sent you money a couple days ago. Do the right thing.
No dinner until you sort your shit out. So, folks, so that's going to round up this episode of the Three Grumpy Simmers. It's just it's a question because, like Sergio said, I'm much the same. I want them to succeed. I think it's a fantastic sim, but as somebody, especially somebody who doesn't use it a lot, and because of how narrow the product base is, I mean, let's compare how many add-on aircraft are available for DCS versus how many add-on aircraft are available for Microsoft Flight Simulator or Prepared. If you want to go for something that's systems modeling, let's go for Prepared. There are a lot of aircraft available for Prepared and not as many available for DCS World. We're not going to get into the conversation about which, we're not going to flop any Sims genitals out on a table to measure them. We're just saying from an overall perspective, which one, from a user, I would, from a lay user, I would look at Prepared before I would look at DCS World because there is more variety there for me. Now, if I have a specific thing that I want for DCS World, like, as I said, my first module for DCS World wasn't even a DCS World module. It was the A10C Tank Killer 1, the original. When it was still a standalone module. Like, that was my original. Because, why? Because I love the Warthog. I think it is a stupid aeroplane, but it is fantastic. It's like a train wreck. You can't stop watching it. Like the A10, you just can't stop flying it because of Bert. So this is why, I want DCS to succeed. We want DCS to succeed, but we want, as a community, we want to ask the question of, should we hear a bit more from them about it? Should we have more developer interactions? Like, don't get me wrong, we hear from WAGs on a fairly regular basis. But it's
they did start that YouTube series or whatnot, but I think the last video that they had out was about like performance or something like that. They don't really tell us a lot about what's going on behind the scenes. And even in the podcast interviews that I've done with WAGs, with the podcast channel that I was working with for a little while there. Yep. There's only so many answers you can ever get.
It feels very much like a PR company playbook answer of, that's a great question, but here's a prepared statement that has nothing to do with the question. So, as I said, we want the community to think and have a reasonable conversation, because getting your knickers in a twist and getting stabby at people for having an opinion doesn't help anyone. Okay, so we just want to do that around mind. So with that pearl of wisdom, we are going to hopefully have placated the idea that the world is ending. And we hope for a resolution.
All right, demons. Yeah, you got to go back now. I'm done with you.
sorry, guys. The world will end another time. And with that, folks.
Tuesday? Yeah, I'll meet you Tuesday. Okay. Yeah, bring the rum. No, bring the fireball. The fireball.
Count me in on that one. So with that, I want to say a huge thank you once again to my fellow Grumpy Simmers. Thank you to Sergio from helisimmer.com.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, etc., 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 all that stuff. And just beware of the demons that Drew is summoning.
And thank you very much.
There's a reason why they used to call me Drucifer. Okay?
So thank you very much to Demon Lord Drucifer for joining us as well and giving his opinions. And please try and keep those demons on a bit of a leash, please. But hey, if they're going to bring the fireball,
guarantees.
they have to come
I
over
make
here.
no guarantees. I am a Scorpio. That's all I will say.
Deep for the succubus.
So folks, you no. Anyway, redheaded fox succubus over here. Anyway, so for folks,
I totally derailed his train of thought. My work is finished.
Completely gone off the rails. So folks, don't forget to head over to helisimmer.com for all your latest helicopter simulation news and goings on from all the various different simulators that have rotary winged madness in them, and even ones that maybe need it but don't know that they need it. Head over to helisimmer.com and make sure you give the Helisimmer's YouTube channel a like and a subscribe as well, and head over to Drucifer's channel for more adventures in and out of hell, of this world and others, and give them
People are going to be looking for Drucifer instead of Belgeo, so
you should add it as a tag, as it as a tag on your videos. And seeing that you're here listening and watching this podcast, then maybe give this channel a like and maybe a subscribe to stay in touch with all the exciting end of the simulation world news that you can come across. And though, folks, that does round it out. Thank you very much for watching. Take care, safe skies to all, be amazing humans, and we will see you on the next grumpily filled episode of The Three Grumpy Simmers, the grumpiest podcast on YouTube.